"If you carry me up the stairs, I'll tell you a secret," said the sick little girl the mechanic had. Imran was an ordinary man who lived in a busy neighborhood. He worked as a mechanic, and every day he spent long hours at his small garage, fixing cars, motorcycles, and even bicycles for people who trusted his hands. The garage was not big, just a tin-roofed shop with tools hanging on the walls and the smell of oil and grease everywhere. Imran had been working there since his teenage years, and now, in his 30s, the garage had become more than just his workplace. It was like his second home. People in the neighborhood respected him because he was always ready to help, even when he had little money himself. On one quiet afternoon, after most of the customers had already left, Imran was wiping the grease off his hands, preparing to close the shop. The sky was turning orange, and the sounds of children playing in the streets mixed with the honking of buses passing by. Just then, he noticed something unusual. At the corner of the street, sitting alone on the edge of a staircase of an old building, there was a little girl. She looked weak, her head slightly bent, as if she did not even have the energy to sit upright. Imran paused and kept looking for a few moments. He thought maybe her family was nearby, but no one seemed to notice her. Curiosity mixed with concern, and Imran walked toward her. As he came closer, he saw her face clearly. She could not have been more than 7 or 8 years old. Her cheeks were pale, and her small hands rested on her knees as if they were too heavy to lift. She wore a simple faded dress that looked slightly old, but her eyes, though tired, had a strange kind of glow. Imran bent down and asked softly, "Are you all right, little one? Are you waiting for someone?" The girl slowly raised her head and smiled faintly. Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper, when she replied, "If you carry me up the stairs, I'll tell you a secret." Imran was taken aback. For a moment, he thought he had misheard her. He blinked and looked around, half expecting someone to come and explain what she meant. But there was no one. Only the sound of evening traffic and children playing in the distance filled the air. The little girl kept looking at him, her weak smile still there, but her eyes told a different story, eyes that carried pain, yet also a strange innocence that made it impossible for him to just walk away. He crouched down to her level and asked again, gently, "Where are your parents? Do they live in this building? Do you want me to call them?" The girl shook her head slowly. "Please," she whispered, "just carry me up the stairs. Then I'll tell you my secret." Imran hesitated. His mind argued with him, why should he involve himself? What if someone misunderstood? But then his heart spoke louder. He had always been a man who believed that kindness should not wait. If someone needed help, it was better to help first and think later. The little girl's fragile body, her tired breathing, and her words touched something deep inside him. Without another question, he gently leaned forward and said, "All right, I'll carry you." Carefully, he lifted her into his arms. She was so light that it shocked him. It felt almost as though he was carrying nothing at all, only a bundle of fragile bones wrapped in a thin dress. Her small arms rested loosely around his neck, and he could feel the uneven rhythm of her breath close to his chest. The staircase of the old building stood ahead, narrow and a little broken in places. As Imran placed his foot on the first step, he felt the weight of the moment more than the weight of the child. The girl looked up at him and asked in her soft voice, "What do you do?" "I fix cars," Imran replied, his voice low but steady. "I'm a mechanic. That's my work." Her lips curved into a tiny smile. "Do you like helping people?" she asked again, her eyes searching his face. Imran nodded. "Yes, I do. Work is work, but helping is something more. If someone's in trouble, I try to do what I can. Life feels lighter when we share a little kindness." The girl listened silently for a while as he climbed step after step. Each question she asked seemed thoughtful, as if she was not just making conversation but trying to know the heart of the man carrying her. She asked again, do you ever get tired of helping, even when no one thanks you? Imran paused on one step and thought about it. Many times in life, he had helped neighbors, friends, even strangers, without ever being appreciated. But he never let that stop him. With a faint smile, he said, sometimes, yes, I get tired. But I remind myself that kindness is never wasted. Even if no one says thank you, it still makes the world a little better. And that's enough. The girl closed her eyes briefly, as if his words gave her comfort. She tightened her weak hold around his neck, and whispered, that's good. That's very good. The staircase seemed longer than usual, though it was only 3 floors high. Perhaps it was because every step carried a silence heavy with unspoken words. Imran kept looking at her delicate face, wondering what kind of secret such a small child could hold. But he did not ask. He simply kept climbing, steady and careful, making sure she felt safe in his arms. Finally, they reached the top of the staircase. The evening light was dim now, and the sky had started to turn purple. Imran gently placed her down on the flat landing. The girl's breathing was heavier now, but her eyes sparkled as if she had accomplished something important. She looked at him and whispered, now I will tell you my secret. Imran leaned closer, his heart beating faster than usual. He had no idea what to expect, but deep down he knew it would not be something ordinary. In that quiet moment, standing at the top of the old staircase with a sick child who trusted him enough to share her deepest truth, Imran felt a change stirring inside him, something he could not yet name, but something that would stay with him forever. Imran stood at the top of the staircase, his chest rising and falling a little faster than normal. Not because the child was heavy, but because of the strange feeling inside him. He had carried many things in his life: tires, engines, tools, groceries, but never had he carried something as light and yet as heavy as this little girl. Light in weight, but heavy in meaning. The girl was still in his arms, and she tilted her head slightly to rest against his shoulder. Her breath was warm but uneven, as if she was always fighting to catch the air she needed. Imran adjusted his hold gently and said, we are here now. Do you feel better? She nodded slowly, her small lips curling into the faintest smile. Yes, she whispered, you carried me well. Those words made Imran chuckle softly, though his heart felt tender. It was nothing, he said. You are very light. Too light. You should be running and playing, not asking strangers to carry you up old stairs. The girl looked at him, her eyes shining even though her face was pale. I cannot run. My legs don't listen to me anymore. She said it calmly, not with sadness but with acceptance. For a moment, Imran's throat tightened. He did not know what illness she had, but he could feel it must be serious. As he began to slowly walk along the landing, trying to let her rest before putting her down, she asked another question. Do you like your work? Fixing cars. Imran smiled faintly. Yes, I do. It's hard work. My hands are always dirty, my clothes smell of grease, and sometimes people shout when their cars don't get fixed fast enough. But I love it because it is honest work. And when I see someone drive away safely, it feels like I've done something useful. The girl thought about his words carefully, as if she was storing them inside her. Then she whispered, that is good. A person who works honestly is richer than a person with gold. Imran was surprised. Such words, coming from such a small child, sounded strange and wise. He asked softly, who taught you that? The girl only gave a gentle smile and said, I learned from watching people. Imran kept walking slowly, carrying her as if she was the most precious thing in the world. Step after step, he felt her heartbeat against his chest, small but steady. She asked again, why do you help people if you don't know them? Like you helped me. Imran looked at her innocent face and answered honestly, because I know what it feels like to be helpless. When I was a boy, my family didn't have much. Many times, we needed help, and sometimes strangers gave it to us. I never forgot that. So now, whenever I see someone in need, I try to give what little I can. Sometimes it's only a smile, sometimes it's fixing something for free, sometimes it's carrying a child upstairs. He looked at her kindly and added, "It doesn't cost much to be kind. And it makes life more meaningful." The girl listened quietly, her little head resting on his shoulder. For a few moments, there was only silence, broken by her breathing and the distant sound of life in the street below. Then she whispered softly, "Do you ever wish people thanked you more? Or remembered what you did?" Imran thought about it. He remembered many times when he had helped someone, but they had walked away without even saying thank you. Some had even been rude, as if his kindness was their right. He smiled faintly and said, "Sometimes, yes. I am human after all. But then I remind myself I don't do it for thanks. I do it because it feels right. And if they forget, it doesn't matter. I remember, and Allah remembers. That is enough for me." The girl closed her eyes briefly and whispered, "You are right. That is enough." They reached the top of the stairs where a soft breeze touched their faces. The sky was darker now, painted with purple and gold, and the first star was peeking out. Imran carefully sat down on the ledge, keeping the girl still in his arms. She was breathing heavily, as if even this small climb had taken all her energy. Imran looked at her and said gently, "Rest now, little one. Don't speak too much. You are tired." But she shook her head slowly. "No, I must speak. I must ask. You see, I don't have much time." Imran's heart tightened again. He wanted to ask her what she meant, but something in her voice stopped him. It was too serious, too final, for him to interrupt. So he just nodded and said, "All right. Ask what you want." The girl looked straight into his eyes. Her voice was weak but steady. "Do you believe kindness can change the world?" Imran stared at her. A question like that, from such a small girl, made him pause. Slowly, he replied, "Yes. I believe it. Maybe not the whole world, but at least someone's world. If I show kindness to one person, and they pass it on, it can keep spreading. Like drops of water that become a river." Her eyes sparkled faintly, and she whispered, "Yes. That is what I believe too." For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. The air was cool, and the sound of crickets had begun. Imran looked down at her fragile body, so light in his arms, and wondered how much suffering she had gone through in her short life. Yet here she was, speaking about kindness and the world as if she carried wisdom older than her years. Finally, she said in a soft voice, "You are the one I was waiting for." Imran frowned slightly. "Waiting for? What do you mean?" She gave a tired smile and whispered, "I will tell you my secret soon. But first, I needed to know if you were truly kind. Now I know." Her words sent a shiver through Imran. He wanted to ask more, but she gently placed her small hand on his chest, as if asking him to be patient. He nodded quietly, respecting her silence. The stars grew brighter above, and the world below seemed to fade away. At that moment, Imran felt something shift inside him. Carrying this girl had not only brought him up a staircase, it had lifted him into a place of reflection, a place where every word mattered, where every act of kindness held weight. He did not yet know her secret, but he knew his life would never be the same after this night. The air on the rooftop landing felt different, almost like another world compared to the noisy street below. The stars were slowly spreading across the sky, and the quiet breeze touched their faces. Imran sat with the little girl still leaning against him. She was silent for a while, as if gathering strength, but her eyes kept looking at him, almost as though she was deciding whether to trust him completely. Imran did not rush her. He simply let her breathe, his arms steady around her fragile body. He knew that whatever she was about to share mattered deeply to her. Finally, after a long pause, the girl whispered, "Now, I will tell you my secret." Imran leaned closer, his heart strangely heavy. He had no idea what kind of secret a child could carry, but the seriousness in her voice made him feel it was something much bigger than himself. The little girl took a deep breath, though it sounded uneven. "I am sick," she said softly. "Very sick. The doctors told my parents that I will not live for long. My body is small, and my heart is weak. That is why I cannot run, or play, or climb stairs alone. Every day feels like a borrowed gift, because I don't know when it will end." Imran felt his throat tighten. He looked at her pale face, her thin arms, and suddenly all the signs made sense: the way she breathed, the way she asked to be carried, the way her eyes seemed wise beyond her years. His heart ached, and he wanted to say something to comfort her, but she raised her small hand to stop him. "Let me finish," she whispered. He nodded silently, his chest heavy with emotion. She continued, "I knew for a long time that my days are short. At first, I was afraid. I used to cry when I thought about leaving this world so early. But then, I realized something. Even if I cannot live long, maybe I can still leave something behind. Not toys, not clothes, not money, but a story. A story that tells people about kindness. Because kindness is the only thing that stays. It never dies." Her words felt like drops of wisdom, falling one by one into Imran's heart. He listened carefully, his eyes never leaving her fragile face. "I wanted to find someone," she went on, "someone ordinary, not a rich man or a famous person, but someone simple who carries kindness in his heart. Because such people are the real heroes. I decided that when I found that person, I would tell him my secret. I would give him something that could live on after me. And now," she paused, her eyes glistening with quiet tears, "I believe that person is you." Imran froze. Her words echoed in his ears, "That person is you." For a moment, he could not speak. He had never thought of himself as anything more than a poor mechanic who fixed engines and lived day to day. To be called the one she had been waiting for, it was overwhelming. The girl smiled faintly at his silence. "I tested you," she admitted softly. "When I asked you to carry me, I wanted to see if you would help without hesitation. When I asked about your work and kindness, I wanted to see what kind of heart you had. And you passed. You are not perfect, but you are good. You are the kind of person who can carry more than just me. You can carry my story." Imran's eyes burned with unshed tears. He had never imagined that a small, sick child would see such meaning in him. He whispered, "But why me? I am no one special." The girl looked into his eyes and said gently, "That is exactly why. Because ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they are kind. If I gave my secret to someone famous, maybe the world would notice, but it would not be the same. But if I give it to you, a simple mechanic, then it shows that kindness belongs to everyone. Not just the rich, not just the powerful. Everyone." Her words pierced his heart. Imran felt a strange mixture of sadness, honor, and responsibility all at once. He asked softly, "What is it you want me to do?" The girl reached into the pocket of her little dress. With trembling hands, she pulled out a small notebook. It was old and thin, the edges of the pages curled from being touched many times. She held it out to him. "This," she whispered. "This is my secret. Inside this notebook, I have written small things I have seen, moments of kindness, little stories of hope. Some are about strangers I watched from a distance, some are about my parents, and some are about how I felt when people helped me. I want you to keep this. And when I am gone, I want you to share it with people. Read it to them, tell them about it, remind them that kindness is never wasted. That way, I will still live through my words, even when I am not here. Imran took the notebook carefully, as though it was made of glass. His rough mechanic's hands trembled as he held the fragile gift. He opened the first page and saw her small, neat handwriting. At the top, she had written, "Kindness is the only treasure worth keeping." His vision blurred with tears. He closed the notebook gently and pressed it to his chest. "I promise," he said in a voice choked with emotion. "I promise I will keep your story alive. I will share it. I will not let your secret die." The little girl's eyes softened with peace. "Thank you," she whispered. "Now I can rest. Because I know my dream will live." Imran felt his heart break and heal at the same time. He looked at her fragile face, glowing faintly in the starlight, and he realized that this small child had given him a responsibility greater than anything he had ever known. She had trusted him, a simple mechanic, to carry her legacy. That night, sitting on the rooftop with the sick little girl in his arms and the notebook pressed against his chest, Imran understood something he had never understood before: life is not measured by how long we live, but by how much love and kindness we leave behind. Imran sat quietly with the little girl in his arms, the notebook still pressed against his chest. The stars above sparkled like tiny lamps, and the cool night breeze moved softly around them. For a long moment, he did not speak. He simply stared at the notebook, feeling its weight not in his hands, but in his heart. All his life, he had thought of himself as just a mechanic. A man who fixed broken cars, tightened bolts, and cleaned grease off his hands every evening. He had never imagined that someone would see him as something more, as a man worthy of carrying a story, a legacy. Yet here he was, chosen by a sick little girl who believed that his kindness made him special. He looked down at her. Her eyes were half closed, but she was still awake, watching him with a calm expression. "You are holding it as if it is too heavy," she whispered softly. Imran gave a small, sad smile. "It is heavy, little one. Not because of the paper, but because of what it means. You trusted me with something so big. I am afraid I might fail you." The girl shook her head weakly. "No. You won't fail. Do you know why?" "Why?" Imran asked quietly. "Because you already carry kindness in your heart. People who carry kindness never fail. They may fall, they may struggle, but they never fail." Her words settled inside him like gentle rain on dry soil. Imran looked away at the night sky, his eyes wet. He whispered, almost to himself, "I never thought of my life as anything important. I fix engines, change tires, wipe oil stains. I never thought that mattered in the big picture." The girl's voice was soft but firm. "It matters. Everything you do with kindness matters. Maybe you don't see it, but others feel it. When you help someone, you light a small candle in their life. And when many candles are lit, the world becomes brighter." Imran turned back to her, his heart trembling. "You speak like someone much older than your age." She gave a faint smile. "Illness makes you older faster. When you know your time is short, you think deeper. You see things others miss." Imran felt his chest tighten again. He wished he could take away her pain, her sickness, her burden. But all he could do was hold her gently and listen. Minutes passed. The air grew cooler. From below, the faint sounds of the city drifted upward: voices, footsteps, a dog barking in the distance. Yet up here, it felt as though they were in another world, a quiet place where truth spoke louder than noise. The girl shifted slightly in his arms and said, "Imran, do you know why I wanted to be carried up the stairs?" He looked at her curiously. "Because you were too weak to climb." She shook her head gently. "Not only that. I wanted someone to carry me, to show me that kindness can lift not just bodies, but also hearts. I wanted to feel what it was like to be safe in someone's arms, even if just for a short time. And when you carried me, step after step, I felt that. I felt that kindness can carry the world. Her words struck him deeply. He thought of all the times he had carried heavy engines, large tires, even whole motorbikes into his workshop. His back had often ached from the weight. But never once had he felt what he was feeling now, the sense that carrying a child, carrying her trust, was the greatest lift of his life. He looked into her eyes and said softly, "You gave me more than I gave you. I only carried you up some stairs. But you carried my heart into a place I never knew existed." The girl smiled faintly, her eyes shining like two small stars. "Then we both carried something for each other." They both fell silent again. Imran could hear her breathing, shallow and uneven, but still steady enough to comfort him. He thought about her words, about the notebook in his hand, and about the responsibility he now held. For the first time in his life, he felt that his existence had a greater meaning than just fixing machines. As the night grew darker, the girl spoke again, her voice weaker but still clear. "When I am gone, people will forget me. They will remember me only as a sick little girl. But through you, they will hear my voice. They will know that I believed in kindness. You will be my voice." Imran's eyes blurred with tears. He pressed the notebook against his chest once more and whispered, "I promise. You will not be forgotten. I will share your words, your thoughts, your dream. I will carry them, just as I carried you tonight." The girl looked relieved, as though a heavy burden had lifted from her small heart. She closed her eyes briefly, then opened them again and whispered, "Do you know, Imran, that even now, even while I am sick, I am not sad? Because I found you. I found the one who will carry me forward." Imran could not hold back any more. Silent tears rolled down his cheeks, falling on her dress. He did not wipe them away. For the first time in years, he let his emotions flow freely. This child, fragile as a feather, had given him strength greater than any engine he had ever repaired. He thought of his own life. The struggles, the loneliness, the endless workdays. He had often wondered what the purpose of it all was. But tonight, he felt the answer. His purpose was not just to earn money or fix cars. His purpose was to carry kindness forward through his actions, his words, and now, through this girl's story. The little girl reached up with her tiny hand and touched his tear-stained cheek. "Don't cry," she whispered. "Tears are also kindness, but don't let them drown you. Instead, let them water your heart, so that kindness can grow stronger." Imran held her hand gently, pressing it to his face. "You are teaching me more than anyone ever has," he whispered. She gave him one last, peaceful smile. "Then my secret has already begun its journey." The night deepened, and the stars above seemed endless. Imran sat there, holding the girl, holding the notebook, holding the weight and gift of her trust. For the first time in his life, he felt both burdened and blessed. That night, he understood that sometimes the heaviest things are not the ones we carry with our hands, but the ones we carry with our hearts. And he knew that this burden was not one to fear, it was a gift that had turned his life into something greater. The days after that night stayed heavy in Imran's heart. He went back to his garage, working as usual, fixing cars and motorcycles, greeting customers with the same simple smile. But inside, he was not the same man anymore. Every sound of a turning engine, every click of a tool, every face he saw reminded him of the little girl's words. He kept her notebook safely wrapped in a clean cloth, away from the grease and oil of the garage. Every evening, after he closed his shop, he would sit in the small room he lived in and open the notebook carefully. Page by page, he read her words. They were simple, yet they carried weight. One page described how she once saw a boy share his food with a hungry dog. Another page spoke of her mother staying awake all night by her bedside when she was sick. Another described a stranger who gave her a smile when she was in pain. Each story was like a small candle, glowing gently in the darkness. Imran often read those stories with tears in his eyes. He thought about how such small acts, which people often forget quickly, had meant so much to the girl. He realized that kindness was not about big actions, it was about small, everyday choices that made life brighter for others. Weeks passed, and then came the day when Imran heard the news. The little girl had left the world. She was gone. His hands trembled when he heard it. He closed his garage early that day, unable to work. His heart felt heavy, as if a part of him had been taken away. That night, he opened her notebook again, and he held it close to his chest. He whispered into the silence, "You trusted me. You gave me your secret. I will not fail you." His tears fell onto the cloth, but he did not wipe them away. He let them soak, because he knew they were not tears of weakness, they were tears of love, of promise. From the next day, Imran began to live differently. He did not leave his work, he still fixed cars and motorcycles because that was his livelihood. But alongside his work, he carried the little girl's mission. Whenever a customer came to his garage, he would not only fix their vehicle but also share a story from the notebook. Sometimes he read directly, sometimes he just told it in his own words. At first, people were surprised. A mechanic telling stories of kindness was not something they expected. But slowly, they began to listen. Some smiled, some grew thoughtful, and some even shared their own small stories of kindness in return. Imran realized that the girl's secret was working, it was spreading from one heart to another, quietly but strongly. One day, a young boy came to fix his bicycle. While adjusting the chain, Imran told him the story of how the little girl had seen a boy share his food with a hungry dog. The boy listened carefully, and when he left, he promised he would feed the street dogs in his neighborhood too. That day, Imran felt as if the girl was smiling from the sky. On another day, an old man came to repair his scooter. While tightening the screws, Imran shared the story about the girl's mother staying awake all night for her. The old man's eyes filled with tears, and he said softly, "My children lie far away. I thought no one remembered such love anymore. Thank you for reminding me." Bit by bit, her secret was being carried out into the world. Months turned into years. Imran grew older, his hair touched with gray, his hands rougher from years of work. But his heart grew softer. He was no longer known just as the mechanic of the street. People began to call him the storyteller mechanic. Children would stop by, not just to watch him fix engines, but to hear a story of kindness. Neighbors invited him to gatherings, asking him to share one of the little girl's lessons. He never once revealed her name, but he always spoke of a little girl who believed in kindness. The notebook became his most precious possession. Its pages grew older, but he kept them safe. Whenever he felt tired or hopeless, he would read them again, and the words would give him new strength. One evening, many years later, Imran sat at his garage after a long day. A group of children surrounded him, eager to hear another story. He smiled and told them about how the little girl once said, "Kindness can carry the world." The children listened wide-eyed, their innocent faces glowing in the fading sunlight. When the children left, Imran looked at the sky. The stars had begun to appear, just like that night when he carried her up the stairs. His eyes softened, and he whispered into the night air, "Your secret is alive. Your words are alive. You are alive in every heart that hears your story." He felt a strange peace settle over him. The burden he once feared had turned into a gift that kept giving. He realized that the girl had not only given him a notebook, she had given him a new life, a life with purpose. Years later, when people spoke of Imran, they did not only remember him as the mechanic who repaired engines. They remembered him as the man who carried a little girl up the stairs and carried her secret into the world. They remembered him as the one who reminded them that kindness was never wasted. And so, the story lived on. The little girl's body had left the earth, but her words, her dream, her secret of kindness continued to travel from one person to another. Imran had become the bridge between her short life and the endless lives touched by her message. At the end of his days, when Imran grew old and weak, he still kept the notebook close to him. It was worn and fragile, but to him, it was more valuable than gold. Before closing his eyes for the last time, he handed it to a young apprentice who worked at his garage. With a trembling voice, he said, "This was given to me by a little girl. She wanted kindness to live. Now it is your turn to carry it forward." The apprentice promised with tears in his eyes. And thus, the story continued, passed from one heart to another, from one life to another, like a flame that never goes out. The secret of the little girl was never buried. It became a light that spread quietly, softly, beautifully, reminding the world that even the smallest life can leave the biggest mark, and that kindness, once planted, never dies.